What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at True Grit, written and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen, starring an all-star cast that includes Jeff Bridges, Matt Damon, Josh Brolin, and Haley Steinfeld. So, True Grit tells the story of this character named Maddie Ross, a little girl, who is on a quest for revenge to find this man named Tom Chaney who had murdered her father for 2 pieces of gold. In her pursuit, she enlists the help of a Texas Ranger named the Beef, played by Matt Damon, and this one-eyed, rough and tough U.S. Marshal named Rooster Cogburn, played by Jeff Bridges. And the three of them go on the pursuit for Tom Chaney. So the overall basic story of True Grit is extremely easy to follow, and it's really interesting. This is a damn good Western movie. The Coen Brothers did an absolutely fantastic job at capturing that Western aesthetic along with cinematographer Roger Deakins. So before I actually fully go into this movie, talking about characters and casting, I want to get the production stuff out of the way first because the production value of this movie, absolutely breathtaking. Like I said, the Coen Brothers and Roger Deakins did a fantastic job at capturing a Western aesthetic. You feel like this movie is taking place in the West. You don't feel like you're in a Hollywood backlot. The landscape shots are lush and beautiful. The wardrobe, production design, straight out of any Western movie, and just real life Western as well. They really wanted to create a natural Western feel and aesthetic, and I think the three of them did it perfectly. Especially Roger Deakins with his cinematography. This movie is absolutely breathtaking. It's not bright and colorful. It's not cheery. It is grit and dreary, and it fits the tone of this movie absolutely perfectly. And then you add on the Coen Brothers with their brilliant direction and really strong writing. You get an absolutely fantastically memorable movie. Now, it does have one thing that I did not care for, and I'm going to illustrate that when I get to it. So, without further ado, now I can get on to the overall cast of this movie, which is absolutely outstanding. Jeff Bridges as Rooster Cogburn, he is fantastic. Jeff Bridges is an actor who you would say to yourself, if you're in the Wild West, Jeff Bridges would be Rooster Cogburn. He fit the role like an absolute glove. When you're watching this movie, you don't see Jeff Bridges. You see the character he is portraying. And Jeff Bridges has that old Hollywood, Western type of charisma to him anyway. He brings the character Rooster Cogburn to life. And the chemistry that Bridges has with Haley Steinfeld and Matt Damon is really good. And if the three of them as a unit did not work, then this movie would not have worked. And I attribute to that, and I do attribute it to the main leads. Jeff Bridges fit the role like a glove. Matt Damon as LaBeouf, I thought he did a really good job playing the Texas Ranger. And I also like how at first the LaBeouf character and the Maddie character, they don't really get along too well. Mainly because since LaBeouf is an old school Texan, if anyone becomes a whippersnapper, he wants to give them an old spanking, especially if they're like a little child who thinks that they deserve to be where where they are. So I like how at first Maddie and LaBeouf have a little bit of an antagonistic relationship that develops throughout the course of the movie into a mutual respect. And I actually thought that Damon and Stayfield, they have decent on-screen chemistry with one another. That worked for me. The same with Stayfield and Jeff Bridges. Now this movie is 10 years old. Now obviously this is when Stayfield was 10 years younger. And just as a little actress, you can tell she had talent to her. The movie primarily focuses on her, and to her credit, she stands her ground with two heavyweight actors in Matt Damon and Jeff Bridges, and she never feels out of place at all. She feels like she belongs in this movie and she belongs in this world, and I gotta give Steinfeld a lot of credit. She was very good in this movie, and she had a really good character arc in this movie as well. She's on a quest for revenge. Her whole thing is that she wants revenge for the man who killed her father, and she grows because of that. And not only that, she's also surrounded by two hardened law officers, so that rubbed off on her a little bit. And again, can't praise Stayfield enough. She was great. All right, Josh Brolin. Now, this is where my biggest complaint comes with this movie. Josh Brolin overall is playing the man who the three of them are out to catch, named Tom Chaney, the man who murdered Maddie's father for 2 pieces of gold. The movie builds up the Cheney character really, really well, and the best parts of this movie is the chase for the Cheney character, trying to find his whereabouts, trying to capture him. All that stuff is great, and but by the time we get to Cheney and his character, we're about a half hour left into the movie, and I feel that could have been handled a little bit differently. I would have liked this movie to have shown us the other side of the token. Like, we see the three of them on the quest for Cheney. I would have liked to have seen some scenes of Cheney, on the run, enlisting the help of the Pepper Gang, doing his thing, trying to trek across the land to escape being captured. I would have liked to have seen more of that to further establish the character of Cheney, because when we see the character of Cheney, he kind of comes across as like a wimpy, whiny guy. And the movie build him up as being ruthless, and when you get to him, he comes across as like a bit of a pussy. I mean, Josh Brolin in the screen time that he has, he's memorable and he does it well. But I don't know, you build the Cheney character up to the point where you think you're gonna get something dangerous, and he ends up being a little punk. I mean, he does have his moments where he knocks out LeBeau, nearly kills Maddie until Maddie kills him. So like, he does have his moments, but overall, he comes across like a punk bitch pushy, especially a whiny one at that. Didn't really care for that all that much. The rest of the supporting cast in this movie, I think they do their roles great. Barry Pepper makes an appearance this movie near the end of the movie as the leader of the gang that Cheney is with. And they have a very, very intense, and the last half of this movie is actually really intense. And I actually like it, the big shootout. I thought that was really well done and very, very good. And the other shootouts that up here across this movie are also well done and well handled as well. But this movie is not really about its action; it's about its characters. And when the Coen Brothers are handling their characters, particularly the three main leads, does it absolutely perfectly, 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 perfectly. Cannot praise the writing of this movie enough. A simple plot, just to get the ball rolling, and the Coen Brothers put all their time into attention to developing these characters and to making you feel these characters and get a sense of their personalities and everything like that. And you had three talented actors who expertly brought them to life and made them very, very relatable. So, yeah, there's a lot more to talk about with True Grit, like the whole thing of this movie being told mainly as a flashback, and we do get to see Maddie as an older woman, finding out that Cogburn had died 3 days before she arrived to the place where Cogburn was. But you can also tell that the experience that she went through as a child, it really hardened her to the point where she never really married or had any kids. She just became as she said, like an old crone in a way. So I like how the experience that Addie went through as a kid, it really changed her overall into this hardened woman. And I like all that. It really shows just what revenge can do to you. It doesn't have a happy ending. And I like how this movie does not have a happy ending. It has a satisfying ending. And honestly, truthfully, this movie ended the only way it possibly could, on a somber note. And it further fits with the tone of this movie as well. I mean, this movie does have moments of levity and comedy, but it never undersoared. But the tone is always consistent all throughout, the somberness. That's what I love. That's also a thing that I love, because you can also get into an instance where you have a somber tone, but then you have humor that feels so out of place, and it kind of goes into conflict with the movie itself. But the Coen Brothers knew how to balance out the humor and the tone and make it all seem effortlessly. So, with my only gripe being the handling of the Tom Cheney character, overall True Grit to me is a 9 out of 10. This is a great Western movie. If you have not seen True Grit, give it a watch, because I highly recommend it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on True Grit. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Like this video and subscribe. And I will check you back next time for more.